With just 2 films under their belt, the Philippou brothers of RackaRacka fame on YouTube have already carved out a name for themselves as rising stars in the world of filmmaking and horror, and have some of the most twisted minds in the genre that we have seen yet. After shocking audiences with their debut Talk to Me in 2022, they are now back and have gone 2 for 2 with their latest Bring Her Back, a film that proves they are not just a fluke, they are the real deal and are here to disturb us for the long haul for whatever they do in the future. After seeing both Talk to Me and Bring Her Back for the first time in the last week, I wanted to jump on here and break down just how messed up these two are with the films that they've made. Talk to Me was a great start to their careers. Now, the majority of this video will focus on Bring Her Back, but I also wanted to take some time to speak about what they did with that first film. As someone who has been following this brother duo since their early days of RackaRacka on YouTube, making their fun films, it's a treasure that we get this opportunity to see them break off and actually put their talents to the big screen. Talk to Me acts as both a horror film and a psychological thriller, where the horror aspects of it all are a lot more different than what you are used to seeing in more generic horror films that come out these days. It's a completely new take on the cliche horror story of talking to and seeing the dead people within your family. A bunch of kids find this ceramic hand that is able to conjure the spirits of these dead people, and they have turned it into a social media trend. You light a candle, opening a portal to the spirit world, grab the hand and say, "Talk to me," allowing the spirits to interact with you. Say, "I let you in," which allows the spirit to possess you, and finally, you must let go before 90 seconds are up so that it doesn't take a hold of your body for good. On paper, you could easily say that this is a concept that could go wrong badly if not handled correctly and not taken down the very generic route. But that's not what the Philippou brothers do. Instead, they use this movie to thematically tell a story about childhood trauma and how that affects all the people around you. It's an exploration of what the digital world of social media can do to you if these things are put on camera, or if, say, you are someone looking for a human connection through this viral trend, such as the one that's depicted in the movie. Then that's a good setup. And when it involves children, well, then you have a recipe to care even more, but also to be just as frightened as that. The brother duo also don't rely on the tired and stale trends of jump scares being used to sell a movie. They actually focus on story and characters, and that's the stuff that matters. They also draw out scenes to give you that uncomfortable feeling, which is smart. You couple all of that with other very good filmmaking aspects that the brothers bring as both directors and writers, good actors such as Sophie Wilde to help sell the movie as the lead, then you have a recipe for a good horror film, which is, in my opinion, what we got with this first film of their careers. To that point about the actors, Sophie Wilde is very good in this movie, and that is an up-and-coming actress that I want to see more of in the future. So get on it, all of you casting directors out there. And now for the main topic of the video. Their newest movie, Bring Her Back, is insane. The minute I walked out of the theater to when I got home and went to sleep to the moment that I woke up in the morning after, I was still thinking about this movie. It's an experience that I think not many people out there are going to have a taste for, but believe me when I tell you, this is an extremely fucked up movie. One of the most disturbing horror films I've seen yet throughout my life since I started watching this genre. This one is much more unsettling, thematic, and cinematic than Talk to Me with its filmmaking, and it doesn't take its foot off the gas. For an hour and a half, it's just nothing but going from one bad thing to the next, all revolving around some insanely sick and twisted shit that's done by the character of Laura, played by Sally Hawkins. Sally Hawkins is very, very good in this movie. Probably one of the better performances I've seen all year from an actress, and I dare say could be an underrated surprise at the Oscars next year if she were able to be a sneaky 5th pick for a nomination. Kind of like another similar scenario where a lot of people thought that Toni Collette was going to get the last nomination for her role in the movie Hereditary, which also just happens to be another A24 horror film. I say 5th pick because we know the Oscars have a bias towards the genre, which should not be a thing, but hey, what can you do? She plays a grieving foster mom who is now given the task of caring for 2 kids named Andy and Piper, played by Billy Barratt and Sora Wong. While there, they also find themselves around another kid named Oliver, played by Jonah Wren-Phillips, and once there, they realize that Laura is not all she seems to be as they dive deeper into this very sick and twisted cult-like world of Laura's as she tries to take the soul of Piper from her and put it into her dead daughter's body. Like with Talk to Me, that concept on paper certainly is something that you've probably heard before and have seen done in many other other movies. However, it's all about the execution within the writing and the directing from our director duo with the brothers. I also think that the kid actors were very good too, along with Sally Hawkins. All the actors play off each other very well, and Sora Wong, like her character, is also partially blind in real life, and I think she was fantastic in that role. I think that Danny and Michael as directors understand that it is not within the best interest to make your standard, generic, and committee-based studio horror film. They even said as much in interviews that when they were shopping around this film to be published and produced by a studio, a lot of the bigger ones out there wanted to take a hold of it and add that by-committee flair to it. A24 just so happened to be the ones to let their vision come to life. My best guess is that that probably would have meant that the studios didn't want to do a lot of the stuff that they did in this movie with the kids. They probably would have wanted to add more jump scares, but then they probably didn't want to add a lot of the thematic elements that this movie tackles. More generic and slop-like horror films do that these days and throw out the important stuff, and I'm sorry, but that's just not how you make good horror movies. What Bring Her Back does so well is that it utilizes the right kind of themes for a horror movie and does what every horror movie should be doing, which is prioritizing its characters, developing them, giving us a reason to care, and then utilizing effective imagery and tension to make that stuff come off as unsettling in the final cut of the film. To be clear, there is a distinction I should make here. This has a lot to do with more allegorical-based horror films, ones that have commentary elements attached to them. A good example of this that I watched recently for the first time is The Babadook, which just so happens to be a film that apparently the brother duo worked on when it came out. Another Australian horror movie that came out way before the brothers got their due in the industry, and it shows that they learned a lot from a movie like that to come over here and make their own stuff. Bring Her Back is heavy on exploring trauma post-family death, as well as some of the consequences that might come from attempting to reverse that death, as we see with a character like Laura. It's also heavy on having a focus towards characters who have grief consuming them, and what it means to deal with that death. People deal with it all in their own different ways, and I think that is something great that makes characters in these movies relatable. Given it also deals with kids, you tend to care a lot more. Talk to Me did the same exact thing, and you can see that there is a similarity to both movies in what the brothers like to look for in telling a story around very specific things. Other than the more thematic stuff, you can also just tell that the brothers really do hate kids in general. I mean, just look at their YouTube channel. It's evidence enough as to what they've shown to us. I'm kidding, obviously, but you can definitely tell that they have a very keen eye for utilizing children to tell these stories, and I'd say in the most violent and graphic ways possible. This is ultimately one of the areas in their two films now where I actually think it's a lesson that a lot of other horror movies need to learn from, in that it's not a bad thing to utilize the world of practical effects to tell your story as well. In both movies, we see heavy amounts of violence towards kids, and to be clear, I'm not saying that every horror movie has to showcase violence towards children. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just using the example of how it's done to these kids as to what other movies need to learn from. Practical effects look so much better, look so much more real, and that allows you to be more invested. Imagery is also very important. I cannot stress this enough, how much of a big deal imagery has an impact on your movie, from the actual film itself, from even the marketing if you put it on the posters or in the trailers. So much of what they do with this kid Oliver in the movie is just terrifying through the shot selections, but also how they utilize the makeup on this kid to showcase something that I absolutely would never want to come across. For those who have seen the movie, throughout a portion of it at the very end, it straight up looked like he was being turned into a zombie-like figure, and the makeup and effects just made it look great, aside from all the crazy stuff that the kid was doing under the spell that he was put into by Laura. Many kinds of things that would make you turn your head away, and that's the only warning I can give to people if they hadn't seen the movie, is that if they don't like seeing violence towards children, then this movie is definitely not for them. Besides all of that, I think the main thing to take away from this movie is that it's a showcase of two new and up-and-coming filmmakers who understand that the unsettling exploration of human beings and the things that make us terrified is ultimately how you make a good horror movie, and at least doing that thematically. Most characters that you follow in these kinds of movies are human beings, and you have to treat them like that. I don't think that Danny and Michael are going to be making horror movies the rest of their careers, but I do think the two first movies of their career that just so happen to be horror films are good ways to set examples for other filmmakers out there in the future, especially the studios who help to publish these films. Letting creatives see their vision on the big screen the way that they want it to be in this genre is probably the best bet that you have for the movie coming out in good quality, but also getting more people to come and see it. That's what we all want from movies at the end of the day, and I'm glad I got to check this one out, and I'm going to continue supporting these brothers because I think they have a bright future ahead of them. And there you have it. That is my commentary and analysis of the RackaRacka brothers with regards to their films and their newest one, Bring Her Back. What do you all think of my analysis? Leave your comments down below. Thank you all for stopping by my channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, and turn on that notification bell. I'm trying to build a community on here, and your support would be appreciated. We are so close to 10,000 subs as of me making this video. That's a wrap, folks. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.